Today, I'm gonna share one of my most favorite stew that I've been making every winter, and that is Brunswick stew. Brunswick stew is a so delicious stew originated in Virginia and Georgia, southern United States. It is made by simmering a lot of meat, vegetables, and beans in tomato-based gravy. Look at this, it's so meaty, hearty, loaded with flavor, and exactly a perfect stew for winter. While this stew calls for many kinds of ingredients, the process is so easy and simple. So please watch till the end and make sure to give it a try. So let's get started by introducing all the ingredients after chopping the vegetables. And now, here's all you need for my Brunswick stew. Any kind of bone-in pork, I use spare ribs. Any kind of bone-in chicken, such as bone-in chicken thigh or chicken drumette. Bacon, sliced. Onion, finely chopped. Garlic, finely chopped. Green bell pepper, diced. Potato, cubed. Spring onion, finely chopped. 1 can of beans of your choice. I use kidney beans, drained and rinsed. 1 can of corn, drained. Canned tomato, beer, water, ketchup, barbecue sauce, Worcestershire sauce, black pepper, salt, cayenne, and vegetable oil. I'm using these products by the way. I bought the barbecue sauce on Amazon. So begin by heating up 1 to 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil in a large pot. Once it's hot, add the bacon, cook over medium to medium-low heat for around 5 minutes until the fat starts to render out and brown. I believe bacon makes everything better. After 5 minutes, mine looks something like this. Add the onion, cook for 5 to 7 minutes over medium heat until it starts to brown. Since we're gonna add a lot of ketchup and barbecue sauce later on, which are very sweet, we don't need to sweeten up the onion that much. After 6 minutes, mine has cooked and slightly sweetened up. Add the garlic, cook for 30 seconds until fragrant. And then, a secret ingredient. Add the beer, which is not the treasure ingredient, but it nicely gives the gravy depth flavor, so I add it. As well as pour in the water. At this point, if some of the bits of the bacon stuck to the bottom, scrape them off with your spatula. And then add the pork and chicken. Combining 2 kinds of the broth from each bones, it's gonna be so rich and flavorful. And then turn the heat up to high and bring it to a boil. Once it starts to bubble, lower the heat down to low. Simmer for 2 hours covered until the meats are very tender. You don't need to stir in the middle since there's plenty water and nothing will burn. After 2 hours, take the lid off and remove the meats from the pot and transfer to a plate. We're gonna shred the meat. First, separate the meat from the bone. I use a tongue and a fork as it's too hot to touch. You can use your hands after the meat cools down. Once that's done, there should be some cartilage of the chicken and perhaps the pork as well. So remove all of that as we don't want that in gravy. By the time you finish removing all of the cartilage, the meat would have nicely been shredded. If you haven't, shred more as necessary. And then move on to the next. Now there are only few steps left. So we're gonna throw in all the rest except the spring onion, which are the shredded pork and chicken, Worcestershire sauce, barbecue sauce, ketchup, salt, black pepper, cayenne, canned tomato, potato, green bell pepper, beans, and corn. As for the beans, don't forget to rinse the beans thoroughly, as the liquid in the canned beans contains unnecessary seasonings. And give it a good mix. By the way, quite a lot of the ingredients in the pot now, which is about 2.8 liter. If you don't have a large pot like this, or you have a small appetite, make this recipe cut it in half. And bring it to simmer over high heat once again. Once it starts to bubble, turn the heat down to low. Cook for another 30 to 40 minutes uncovered. Stir a couple times halfway through to ensure even cooking. We're gonna wait until the potatoes are soft, the bell peppers sweetens up, and all the flavors mingles and rounds. After 40 minutes, it should look something like this. The potatoes are soft enough. The gravy is not too soupy, not too thick. It's just right. If yours is not, adjust the consistency by cooking for longer or adding some water. So I'm gonna finish off by turning off the heat and adding the spring onion. Cook it with a residual heat. By the way, I added all the ingredients in this order so far. And my Brunswick stew is ready to enjoy. Looks so delicious. Grab a nice bowl and plate this up. Also pair with some toasted bread. Or if you wanna enjoy the traditional way, prepare some cornbread. So let's try it out. I'm so glad to share this recipe on YouTube. It's so good. What surprised me every time is the flavor is just perfectly balanced when it's made with so many kinds of ingredients. It tastes so meaty, savory, sweet, and a little smoky, and a lot of umami is in there. It's so rich in flavor. When it comes to vegetables, potatoes, bell pepper, spring onion, beans, corn, everything is so delicious and none of them can't be omitted. Especially the corn tastes great. I've never eaten anything that goes well with corn that much. As for the 1 can of beer I added as a secret ingredient, this gravy doesn't taste beer at all, but I think it has considerably increased the complexity of the gravy, making it even better. Overall, it has a mild flavor, and I think a lot of people, from children to the elderly, would enjoy this dish for sure. So please give it a try and let me know how it turned out. Also, what is your favorite stew? Let me know down in the comments. I'm very curious about that. I love making and eating stew, and I'm always looking for the next one to make. And lastly, if you wanna watch more delicious stew recipe, this coq au vin recipe is also great. And thank you for watching. See you in the next one.